Okay, so the building steps of an equation is what happened to x. So if you have an expression like this one down the bottom, what we are trying to think of is, how did plain old x turn into 2 bracket 3x plus 1? And the key is bedmass. So bedmass tells us the order. So we know we've got a times 3, we've got a plus 1, and we've got a times 2. But what happened first? And if we can work out our building steps, we'll know how to do the opposite to solve it. Okay, so let's get rid of this. So the first thing in bedmass is B for brackets. Now, our bracket is 3x plus 1. So now we're within that bracket, we need to see E for exponents, there's no powers in there. D for division and multiplication, M for multiplication, yes, there is a times 3. So the very first thing to happen to x in this equation was timesing by 3. So our x turned into a 3x. And the next thing in that bracket is an addition, and it's plus 1. So then our equation became 3x plus 1. And the last thing to happen is on the outside of the bracket, and there's only one thing that happened. It's this 2, and it's timesing, because if there's nothing in between a bracket and a number, it means times. So if I do 2 times everything so far, I get this. So I've sort of repeated myself there. So we can see how x on each step has turned into the next thing. So luckily we don't have to write that out each time, because bedmass tells us what order things happened in. Times 3 plus 1 and then times by 2. Okay, so our solving steps are the opposite to our building steps. We're wanting to undo an equation that, or in this case an expression that looks like this, and we want to turn it into just a plain old x. So from the previous slide we worked out that the building steps was times 3 plus 1 times 2. So to solve it we need to do the opposite thing in the opposite order. So we will need to divide by 2, take 1 and divide by 3. So our first step, so now we are just going to follow the solving steps. The building steps are irrelevant, they just helped us to get to this stage. So don't get confused. So first we need to divide by 2. We divide everything by 2, but the only thing it cancels out is this 2 here. A times 2 and a divide 2 are opposites, so they will cancel each other out. We don't need to write the brackets anymore because there's nothing left in front of them, so there's no reason for them. So now we just have 3x plus 1. Our next step, so we've done this one, our next step is to take 1, and this will cancel out a plus 1. And so we'll be left with just a 3x. And our last step is to divide by 3. And this will cancel out that times 3 because they're opposites. And we'll be left with just plain old x. Hurrah! In an equation we'll also do these things to both sides to solve them. But that's the whole point of the building and solving steps.